I'm going to give you about 15 minutes of notes. When you're done, make sure your packet gets turned in with a name on it, because I'm only doing points for completion of this packet this week. I'm not really going to be looking at anything else. So yesterday, we'll go to where we left off. Just going to make sure, yep, we left off right here. So I'll do it until my timer says 15 minutes, and then after that, we will quit. So a little hard to read here. So while you're getting your stuff organized, this is a -3/4. I think it's clear on yours. X plus 4, and this is y equals, actually I think that's a greater than maybe? Man, it's hard to read. Let's do greater than. A half x minus 1. So these should have dotted lines, and we go graph the line as we've always graphed it. You can even do it on your calculator if you want, but that would be up at 4, and it would be going down 3/4. So we need a graph where we have a y-intercept up at 4, so this guy's out for sure. And from there, we need to go down 3/4. So this guy's out for sure. There's no line going downhill. Let's check this one. Down 1, 2, 3, over. That one's out. So actually, I'm pretty much done right now, but let's go take a look at this one also. I'd have to hit at -1, which this one does. Has to go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, which this one does. They're both dotted, and I'm above both of them. Your graphing calculator, by the way, I would challenge you to go try this on your graphing calculator. Remember what I said yesterday? You go to the y equals. You might want to give it a try and pause this, and you move over to where there's that line blinking, and for greater than, you click on it until there's a triangle, and then you'd go to the y2 equals, and you'd enter 1/2 x minus 1, and you go again until this one's blinking, and again it's greater than, so you do this, and then your calculator will graph them both as well, and you would see that one. Either way, it's probably faster by hand, to be honest. So the next thing we're going to do is move into factoring, and you've learned a lot of ways to factor, so I'm just going to give you kind of a general rundown of what you need to do. The first thing you need to do is ask yourself, can I take or divide anything out? Because if you miss that, you're going to miss the whole problem. So can I divide anything out? So before I even put the other ones on here, go look at this one. Can you take anything out of these? No. 2 and a 4, take out a 2, but 21's not even, so I can't take anything out of those. But if you look at this one right here, and again, page forward, this one would be a yes, and you should do that before you start. You'll see, because usually the tests are multiple choice, for one like this, you'll see that all of them have something kind of pulled out front. But I can divide a -2 and an x out of each one of these terms. So I will pick an answer where there's a -2x pulled out. What happens next we'll talk about, but let's go divide that -2x out. These would cancel, leaving an x squared. These two would cancel, leaving a -10x. And the last, a negative divided by negative, will give me a +12. So make sure you divide that -2 out of everything before you start. So let's go back and go to second thing. Once you divide anything out, it kind of depends on how many terms there are. If 3 terms, generally what you do is you factor by what I call unfoiling. So that's that kind where you look at what's going on out front, you look at what's going on in the back, and you try to create what's in the middle. So that we've done so many times, I don't think you need to review on how to do it, it's when to do it. That's generally your go-to if there's 3 terms. So turn the page, I'd ask myself, can I pull anything out of these? No. When it's multiple choice though, that question kind of gets answered for you because you would see it, like you'd see something being pulled out front on all of them. This is the kind where you deal with the front and the back. I can only get 2x squared out of a 2x and a 1x. I can only get a 3 out of a 3 and a 1. So it narrows it down for me pretty much because I know I have to have 2x and 1x. And I'm unfoiling, so if I foil, if you'll see if I dump this in, I get the 2x squared. So that's awesome. Then I know I have to end it in a 3 and a 1, but I have to decide where I want to put them. Do I want to have 6 plus 1? Yes. I don't want to have 2 plus 3. So I want to make sure on the outside I have that 3 so I can create the 6, and the inside gets the 1. These both get positives because this means 2 of the same, and this means they both be positive. So again, you ask yourself first, can I pull anything out? This one was a no, and then because it's 3 terms, I go to that unfoiling method. By the way, though, when you're looking at the answers, you've got A, B, C, D. Worst case scenario, if you can't do it, just FOIL these and see if you watch. 2x times x is 2x squared. Outside is 6x. Inside is 1x. Last is a 3. This does give me that. So you can always do trial by error, but that actually takes more time, and it doesn't mean you really understand what you're doing. So let's go over to this one. Can I pull anything out of all these? No. My choices would be 2 and 2 and 4 and 1. One of them's a winner. And over here would be 3 and 7. So any answers that are given to me that don't have some combo of those, I wouldn't choose. Remember, I'm trying to create a -8. I also need to have 1 plus and 1 minus based on those signs. So I'm going to grab the 2 and the 3. Gives me a 6. I'm just going to put a little 6 over here. And then I'm going to look at the 2 times a 7. That's a 14. Can I get a -8 out of those? If I keep them both positive, I get a 20. If I make the 14 negative, I get a -8, and then I just found it. All right, so I do know that I want to pair it up so I get the 6, and I get the 14. I want the 14 to be negative. So let's see if you're... Remember, too, when it's multiple choice, you could try foiling what you have, but I'm choosing a 2x and a 2x. I want to have a -7 and a +3. Maybe that's selection C, so I click on C. But I could actually check it. Again, watch. Firsts, outsides, insides, lasts. These do add up to -8x, so I know I got it right. So you kind of have two options here. Do you want to, I would suggest factoring it, but if you're stuck, try foiling the answers. And again, we're going to go back a page, because that said if 3 terms. If 3 terms, you generally unfoil. If 2 terms, what that means is it's either going to be a difference of squares, like this. Sorry, it's not making a subtraction for me. Or it's going to be a sum or difference of cubes from last chapter, like this. So we'll talk about both of them separately. So if there's 2 terms, this kind's really easy and this kind's kind of hard. So let's go see if that's what I have next on there. So let's go take a look. So again, can I take anything out? No, but there's 3 terms. This one only has 2 terms. And you'll notice that it's a difference, subtraction of 2 things that are being squared. All you have to do is decide what's being squared. Well, for 4 it's a 2, for x squared it's a 2x, and for 49 it's a 7. So what you do is you keep them identical, but swap the signs. And again, here's why. You're trying to unfoil it. There's nothing in the middle, which means it must have been a 0. Let's check it out. 4x squared checks out. On my outside, I get a -14, and on the inside, a +14, so it's gone. And then my last is a -49, so I know that one's correct. That's called a difference of squares. Try this one. 9x squared minus 25. Go ahead and write that down. And let's, I was just watching the time here because I'm going to quit when it's at 15 for you guys. So this would be, anything I can take out? No. Does it have 3 terms? No. When it's 2 terms, you're looking for things being squared here. It's a 3x that's being squared and a 5. You do 1 positive and you do 1 negative so that the inside and outside will cancel. You can always check it by foiling. Boom. Check. Outside -15x's. Inside +15x's, which is why there's no middle term here. It makes 0 of them. And then my last is minus 25. So that one's done. So that one had 3 terms. Let's go to this next page and just kind of do a little practice here before I finish that off. First question is, can I take anything out of all of these? No, they're not all even, so I can't take out a 2. 5 doesn't go into 4. There's not 2 terms. This is the kind where I try to unfoil it. And you'll see that from the answer selections. I always go with my gut. I'm thinking it's going to be 2x and 2x, 5 and 5. If that doesn't work, maybe I'll try 4 and 1. That's really it, and 25 and 1. But I can see right now with a 10 and a 10, I can create that 20 in the middle. So I'm ready to roll. So I go like this, and I do a 2x, and I do a 2x. In order to create a positive 25, I need to have 2 negatives or 2 positives. And remember, this guy seals the deal. So I'll have a minus 5 and a minus 5. Sometimes that will be written as 2x minus 5 quantity squared. So it just depends, but this is what you would click on. I'm going to give you a minute to go try this one on your own. And again, go through the process. So go ahead and pause the video and go try this one on your own. So here we go. I'm going to deal with the fact that I can't take anything out of these. 3 goes into both of those, but then it doesn't go into 4. The only thing that goes into 4, so there's nothing I can take out, but honestly, go look at your answers provided, and they'll kind of help guide you. If you see a 2 out front of everything, you'll be like, oh, I need to divide it by 2 first. Go with your gut. I'm thinking probably a 3 and a 3. Probably a 2 and a 2. This is called a perfect square trinomial. And if you notice, 6x and 6x will make that 12 as long as we're both negative. And again, I knew I had to have the same sign because it ends in a positive. And then I'm choosing the negatives because of this one. So I'd have a 3x and a 3x. I'd have a minus 2 and a minus 2. And that might be written, I don't know, as 3x minus 2 quantity squared. I'm not quite sure how they'll write that one for you. All right, so next one up. I gotta go back because I have to wrap up the factoring steps here. So next step, go back a couple pages. We just practiced those first kinds. We did some differences of squares. We did some unfoiling. Fourth thing is, if you see 4 terms, that's a trigger for grouping. So watch out for that. And what else was I going to say? What's the other one? Oh, if x to the 4th, and let's say plus some x squared plus some number here. Remember, the process is the same. We just need to lead in x squared. So we just tested on that, so you should be good with it. But I'll go finish up this factoring, and then that'll be it for today. So over here, I can't take anything out. So again, I try to unfoil it. I have no option but to lead in x squared and x squared. So I throw that down. I go to the end and think of things that make 24. Maybe I think of 6 and 4, but I can't get a 5 out of them. Maybe I think of 12 and 2, but I can't get a 5 out of them. Next, I think of 8 and 3, and I'm like, there it is. They add up to 11 if I don't change a sign. I need them to add up to negative 5. So that triggers a minus 8. I'd go minus 8, and I'd go plus 3. And that would be factored completely. And again, I could check it by foiling it, but I'm not going to. Now, let's follow the steps on this guy. Factoring can be tricky because there's 5 different kinds. You kind of got to make sure your brain kind of goes through the steps. Can I take anything out of these? Oh, almost a 2, but 5 blew it for me. There's 4 terms, so that should trigger grouping. What can you pull out of the first group? A 2x squared. Comes out of both of those. If I divide a 2 out of this, I'll get a 6 and an x. If I divide a 2 out of this, I will get a 3. So, sorry. If I divide a 2x squared out of that, I'll get a 1. So there's my 12x cubed plus 2x squared minus, I can pull a 5 out of 30 and a 5 out of 5. Notice how it gives me a 6x plus 1 again. And remember, we kind of always get that same factor there, so feel good about it. So my answer is the 6x plus 1, that's in both of them, times those leftovers. numbers, 2x squared minus 5. So that would be the factored form. Keep in mind, though, that these can always be checked by FOILing. So if you're really stuck, you might want to take the answers and go, oh, that's 12x cubed. Might be my right answer. This is minus 30x. We've got one of those in here. Might be my answer. Plus 2x squared. We've got one of those right here. And then I've got a minus 5. So check. This would be the right answer. So FOILing is helpful when you get stuck, when you have multiple choice. So that's always a good idea. Last one up. I just want to finish this factoring. So can I pull anything out of these? No, but I see those 4 terms. That's a trigger for grouping. What can I take out of 5 and 10? A 5. What can I take out of n cubed and n squared? And n squared. I put my brackets on. I chop the 5 out, leaving me a 1. I chop 2 n's out, leaving an n. I chop a 5 out, leaving a 2. And when I chop the n's out, they're gone. You might even want to just check it. 5n cubed minus 10x squared. It's looking really good. My last one, I can pull a 3 out, and that'll leave me with an n minus 2. So when I'm all done, I have an n minus 2. This is in both of them, times a 5n squared plus 3. And we're done. Have a good one, guys.